Well, good afternoon, everybody. It's the Cryptid Huntress. I'm Jessica Jones. And man, I hope you guys had a wonderful, wonderful weekend. I went on a little expedition this weekend. Y'all know how I roll. I don't tell people when I'm going somewhere, but I went out with one of my teams to a land of Cherokee legend and lore, somewhere in the deep South, in the Appalachians. And we had some wild and crazy activity while we were out there. And we'll talk about that today. Of course, I did make a short little video. We were kind of practicing around with maybe doing some live videos. We were doing a recorded video out in the woods this weekend. It was short, probably about 15 minutes. And I aired that after the show Saturday night. And it was fun. I made some short clips of that where I interviewed some of the guys that were out there. It is pretty fantastic, y'all. We're gonna look into maybe doing some live streams out there in the field, and that will allow me to get out and do more research instead of being at home all the time. Okay, and bringing you guys out there with us in the field, and my guys are on board with it. Actually, surprisingly, it's shocking. They're actually on board with it, and it could be fun. Not all the time, but maybe sometimes we'll go out and do that. And bring you guys out to the field with us on some expeditions. So yeah, we actually I played a rerun. I didn't mean to, y'all. I promise. I actually had a guest lined up to record a show, and we just didn't get to it in time. So, but we had Mark Green on there Saturday night. If you guys missed that, go back and watch that. If you've missed that show, it's one of my favorites. It's about the bear man in East Alabama and the Dogman encounter that Mark has had. It's a wonderful show. And also, if you missed the little 15-minute clip that we made out in the field, go back and watch that as well. I'm going to play a couple of clips from that today, and you guys can hear about a Dogman encounter. It's a report that David Pardue took out of North Carolina. I don't know how long ago that was. It couldn't have been too long ago. But we've got more reports to go over as well, talking about dogmen digging in trash cans and stuff like that out of North Carolina. So, yeah. Oh, and Dawn also got some video of some light beings walking around my tent this weekend. We're going to talk with Barry about that when he comes up. I have Barry Littleton here, y'all, and Barry's here to talk about these reptilian shapeshifters and some possible reptilian repellent. I know it sounds weird, but this is kind of trending right now. There's a story. I'm going to play you guys a video off TikTok actually today, and it makes a lot of sense. And we're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about the prophecy of Chris Bledsoe. Y'all know who he is. There's a prophecy. Maybe there's going to be full disclosure by the actual ETs this Sunday. It's Easter Sunday, so the deadline is here for this prophecy. So we'll get into that as well. And other stuff, whatever comes up today. It's going to be a wonderful time. So thank you guys so much for being here. And I want to thank Barry, of course, for being here. He's backstage. He'll be here in just a second. And thank you to my channel members, my Patreon members, my moderators, everybody. You guys help this whole operation keep going. And I love each and every one of y'all so much. If you guys would like to check out the Cryptid Huntress, go over to my website. It's thecryptidhuntress.com. You can find all of my shows there, my calendar of events. I have another event. I've got a bunch of events that I have not put on the calendar yet, but one of them actually is coming up next month. We have the West Georgia Bigfoot Town Hall, and we're going to have a nice big crowd there at that, hopefully, and that's going to be in McIntosh Reserve Park in Whitesburg, Georgia, April 25th on a Saturday. It's kind of an all-day event. family friendly. Come out, bring your family. Let us know about your Bigfoot encounters. We're going to be hearing from the community that day. There's Dale Boswell down there. You guys, please say a prayer for Dale. We're praying for healing for him. He's recently had some surgeries and stuff, and this is one of the events that he said that he is coming to, but he may not be able to do a whole lot more for a while. Okay, so y'all come out and see Dale at that event, and a bunch of other people too. Okay, but I also just got asked to speak in Tennessee at the Paratech Symposium. Okay, that's I'll be speaking on June the 6th. That is up in, I want to say, Johnson City, Tennessee. So y'all come see me in June. I will keep y'all posted on that. It's just something new to add to the calendar. Okay, so we'll see y'all at that as well. Okay. All right. Well, let's get to our show today, y'all. Okay. Because we got another wild and wacky one. I know Barry can't wait to get up here to talk about these reptilian shapeshifters at the hardware store. All right. So today we are exploring real life reptilian shapeshifters across America. And we're going to detail some of the high strangeness that my team and I experienced in the deep woods in the land of Cherokee legends over the weekend. And of course, we're going to be discovering some methods potentially of repelling reptilians, even though reptilians just want to, according to the story we're going to hear today, they're just like us. They're just trying to earn a living, they say. Okay. So we're also going to discuss the Easter Sunday prophecy by Chris Bledsoe, a vision he had around 2012, where extraterrestrials revealed themselves on Easter of 2026. Of course, Barry's here. You can find him on his YouTube channel. That's Barry Littleton. He had a wonderful live yesterday. Y'all go check that out. And he's on Patreon as well. It's called Barry Littleton over there. Please help me welcome to the show my friend Barry Littleton. Hey, Barry.
Give me sight beyond the sight. Oh, Jessica. Oh, hey, what's up? I was trying to get the reptilian eye going. Sorry. Anyway. Oh, that's the sword of omens I should have used. Damn.
I feared you're repelling reptilians. Yeah.
What's happening? Hey, real quick, thanks for having me. Greetings to your audience. Been a pretty good day for once. I'm not running way behind. Something just real quick, just since it's you and me, we could reminisce for just like 1 minute or 90 seconds, right?
Yes.
Thanks for having me on with the MK Davis thing. My brother said, you didn't say nothing hardly, man. I was like, man, I was more listening. Sometimes it's time to listen and not talk, But that was a lot of fun. And at the end, I did get to ask what I wanted to ask, and he knocked it out of the ballpark. Just some little technical details he gave there that was really informative and just cool. So thank you for that. That was one of my coolest interviews I've done was with him. I think that was cool. So thank you. Mm-hmm. Other one would be the Mary Rodwell that just disappeared off YouTube. Get completely banned. Yeah. Anyway, I noticed that just there was a lot of charged emotions in the comments.
Oh yeah.
I mean, to the point where, that's interesting, that subject and MK himself seems to generate so much electricity like that. It's interesting to me, you know what I mean? But as people ask, people saying, believe in mythical creatures, people getting kind of upset with each other, but hey, it is what it is, gosh.
Oh, yeah. It's polarizing, Barry. It's the whole polarizing thing about the Patty video with like this alleged this documentary coming out alleging that was a man in a suit and the Patty was not real, and it's just it's been supercharging the entire Bigfoot community into being polarized, and I find it interesting because like the majority of people that are talking about it have not even seen that documentary, and so that's why I'm just like I never saw it, and I don't even know if it's ever coming out to the public or when, and I think you got to pay for it and stuff. I don't know. I have no idea. I'm okay with paying for stuff. Okay. But I'm just saying it's interesting that people are so up in arms over it. And most of the people have not seen it. And so it's like, let's just let it. I'm just telling everybody like MK was saying, he was like, y'all just calm down. Everybody, why are you letting this affect you so badly? That's kind of what MK was saying. I thought that was interesting.
It's like the entire existence of Sasquatch is not based on the Patterson-Gimlin footage. Not if you're somebody that does the research and listens, but I guess that's another thing, and I'll tell you something else, something interesting, just this in backside, I did some comment about the individual that had attacked you that we both kind of respected. I thought it was kind of weak, and somebody, in all due respect, just 2 years ago, did that individual even start considering things like UFOs and stuff like that and yada, yada? And I didn't really reply, but the truth is, no, that's BS. I know that because, look, when I met Tom Powell, he talked about the reptilian and Sasquatch interaction and how that individual knew about that. And that's what he thought the green ones were the reptilians. And he said that individual will never say that publicly, though. So that individual's well aware of that stuff. Okay, it's not something that they just started looked in. When I met, that was in 2017. I'm just saying, okay? When I met the individuals 2017, that wasn't just 2 years ago. But I'm leaving all that alone now and have moved on. But I just thought it was pretty lame. But we're on to greener pastures now. So.
Yeah. I mean, that video will always be up for debate. There's always going to be debunkers. I mean, as a researcher, we need to be able to try to debunk stuff. You know what I mean? But but that video has stood the test of time for decades. Okay. So we'll just see. We'll just wait and see. But it is polarizing.
I haven't seen anybody that said that they saw it yet. I was noticing that in the chat too. I was like, man, assuming everybody's seen it, I'm just behind, but I don't know anybody that has. Do you?
I know one person. Yes. Eric, who's been on our show. He's been putting out a lot of videos about it, and he's been getting, I have not talked to him yet about it, but he's been getting a lot of pushback to where he put out a video yesterday saying that he's been doxxed at his work and people are really coming at him and stuff. So he was the one that's put out a lot of information about what he saw. And that's been, he's the one that's like, it's fake. And so I think, it's just kind of fueling the fire. Shout out to Eric.
He thought it sucked. Eric,
I don't know. Last name? No, Eric said that it was definitely a hoax.
Eric,
no, it's Eric.
No, Eric who? I'm just trying to remember his last name.
I can't remember his last name. He's with Harry Man Road on YouTube. Yeah.
I'll
Shout out to Eric. I love Eric. He's the one that brings the FOIA documents. Yeah. Look up Harry Man Road. He's been on here before. Used to be Media Palace. But yeah, I like seeing things from all sides. I mean, I'd love to have Eric on the show just to talk about what he saw. And so we can have a discussion about it, but anyways, I love debating, and I don't get my panties in a wad too often, okay, about stuff, because I know what I know, and I know what I've seen. I know that Patty Wedgie, remember I said something about that's a costume, that's a major wedgie, right? So yeah. But anyways, we'll see.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting. It's the times that we're in right now, and considering that, just as far as the evolution of consciousness, Sasquatch, or quote unquote the corny name Bigfoot, is almost a household name now. You know what I mean? It's quite common, whether it be in gesture, joke, or entertainment, movies. It's it's interesting. Much more. I think that's part of this come forwarding. Somebody's asked me yesterday, what is it with all the Sasquatch moving in Ohio? What is this? I said, I don't know. But I've heard a little bit about it, but I don't know why there'd be a sudden mass exodus in Ohio. But it is what it is. I don't live there.
Yeah. Well, there's all the meteors. I had Nick Sylvester on the show last week, and he said that it's actually not meteor fireballs that are flying down out of the sky. Those are actual pieces of some sort of a big spacecraft that has been blown up. He said he couldn't get into detail about it. He said it was above his pay grade to talk about this. He said, but he doesn't believe. He said he doesn't believe that those are meteors at all. That it's actually is something else that was poking around where it shouldn't have been poking around. And because they say in the articles that I was pulling up, it said that they're all coming from the same trajectory, they're in the trajectory that they're coming down. They're all coming from the same object.
Well, come on, you got to throw it in there. It's like three Atlas came back, right? I mean, it came from there, right?
Yeah.
It's not connected to that, right? I mean, come on.
Well, that's what I was wondering. Well, that's buried. I was connecting the dots because right after he said that, I showed a picture of 3 Atlas. I was like, well, I'm not saying this is connected to anything, but Here's three-eye atlas. So maybe they did. Maybe it will never come back, Barry. We don't have to worry about talking about that ever again. For your sake. Just kidding.
Oh my gosh.
Oh man.
True, man.
I know we have fun over here.
We
sure do.
It's just the interesting thing about right now, and I don't want to be like skeptical, brother, okay, about everything, but look, this is the thing. Just right now, we're in an era where anybody can just say anything. And if it sounds good, if you got the right words, you got the right keynote context, you're in there.
Yeah, true.
So people can just say anything. True. I hear so many different theories and ideas and facts, and it's incredible. You know what I mean? So it never ceases to amaze my perceptions. I know you're gonna take me down another rabbit hole tonight. Jessica has me out here talking about what is this about the reptilians again? It's
they're showing themselves. We have some testimony we're going to play. I'm going to play it. I was trying to pull it up on my one computer, so now it's not coming up on that one. It's going to have to come up on my old one. So pray for me, y'all. I hope this works. Okay. But yeah, well, let's just get into this today because I want to talk about these reptilian shapeshifters among us. Okay. And I found this really interesting. I came across it. It's a really interesting video. It was, I think I saved it before I went out of town last week. And it was of a gentleman that was talking about how he and his friend, his neighbor, he shows their yard. I'm going to show you the video in just a second. But they're talking about how they had to go get some snake repellent. I don't know if anybody's familiar with this in the audience today. But there's a gentleman said they had to go get some snake repellent. And so they had put snake repellent. I guess they were putting it in their yard and then they got it on them. Okay. He and his neighbor accidentally got, now I don't even know what, it must be a powder or something. I have no idea. I've grown up with snakes in my yard and I never knew you could get a repellent. Okay. So, but he claims that he got some repellent on his clothes and they had to go to the hardware store. And in this video, I need to warn you guys, there is cussing. There's foul language a little bit. So y'all prepare yourselves. But
one thing, hold on. He accidentally got this repellent on him. That's what you're saying,
snake repellent. Yes.
Okay, the snake repellent.
Snake reptiles.
Just happened to be messing around and just bam, got some reptilian.
What? Probably got on his shoes if it's powder and he's sprinkling. I don't know. I don't know how. Let me look up snake repellent, y'all. Hold on. Let's look it up, and I'll tell you what is snake. I've never even heard of it. I didn't know you could buy snake repellent. Let me make sure this is even real. Hold on.
I can't help it though, man.
Snake away snake repellent. You can buy it.
I'm sure that's happened. Just out messing around every day, and bam, there you get hit with some snake repellent.
I need this for my everyday life. So now all we need are thermal cameras and this snake repellent. Hold on. I'm going to share my screen with the audience. Here we go. Snake repellent at DuckDuckGo. Yeah, you can buy snake repellent. Let's see, snake repellent for the yard.
Snake away.
Snake repellent should actually
I learn something every day. That's it. Snake away. Now I always know what that is. I'll remember that. That's the repellent.
Okay, here's what works. Okay, well, here's what doesn't work. Mothballs. Sulfur. That's demons or something. Or don't demons smell like sulfur?
Lime, mothballs will keep my black ass away from you though.
Ultrasonic. Look, you can wear ultrasonic snake repellent device. That doesn't work. They say West Indian lemongrass, garlic spray. Yeah, that's not going to stop a snake from biting you, everybody. I just want you to know. Snake plant. This is just suggestions, please. Clove and cinnamon oil. Okay, this is wild. Eliminate the hiding spots. Yikes. Okay, let me go back. Because there's actually, I don't want to advertise for people's products here, but let's just look.
Snake
repellent.
Snake away.
Look at that. You can get snake repellent pouches for outdoors, safe for children, pets, and effectively snake repellent garden and home. Okay, so those are like little pouches. I guess you put them out. It looks like that would be something that they would smell or something potentially to stay away. I don't know. Maybe there's some kind of powder. That's the vision that I got when he was talking. But I don't know. We're gonna listen to this. But he said, okay, so here's the summary. He says that they had the snake repellent on them. They actually got some on them, I guess. Went to this hardware store, and they were in line. They heard a guy behind him coughing, and he was coughing this weird cough, like sneezing and coughing or something. You'll hear in the video. And they turned around, and when they turned around to look at the guy, because when people are coughing, it's like kind of you're like, ugh, cover your mouth or something.
These days, especially,
Yeah, well, they turned around and looked at him, and right when they turned around, the fella actually was shapeshifting, and what they described was something like this. Like the man's face, you'll hear in the video, he says the top part of his face down to his cheek was green and scaly. He looked like a reptile. Okay, and let me just see. I'm just going to try to pull it up on this computer. Let's see if we can do this. Like I said, y'all, fingers crossed. Let's share the screen. Take me just a second. This is on my TikTok. If you guys want to go follow me on TikTok. It's the Cryptid Huntress.
I'm having weird visions.
You are?
Yeah, people walking up to politicians and throwing snake repellent on them to see if they when they come through to shake your hand, you got some snake repellent on your hand. Will that reveal them?
Okay, so this is not the original video that I found, but it's the only one that I could find last minute. So this is another guy that is playing this guy's video. So this is mylesb.47 if y'all want to go follow him on TikTok. But here we go. Let's listen.
We got some snake stopper. And we came back to the house. Our yards are connected. Some around my house. He put some around his house.
Hold on. Sorry, y'all. Hold on.
And then we just kind of out there talking shit, doing it together.
Oh, crap.
Why do so many people go missing in the U.S. National Park system?
No.
One theory suggests that the government knows.
Y'all. My computer sucks. I'm sorry. When I try to
that nobody's.
Here we go. Let's try this again. I told you it's going to be a problem. Okay. Hopefully this will play.
We went to Tractor Supply and we got some snake stopper. And we came back to the house. Our yards are connected. Some around my house. He put some around his house. And then we just kind of out there talking shit, doing it together, for real. Me being clumsy, talking shit. I accidentally got some of this shit on us. So you ain't got time to go back in the house and take a shower. We got to go back and get some more stuff. So we went back, got some more stuff, got in line. And it was my neighbor, me, and this mixed looking guy behind me. He kept sneezing. And his sneeze didn't sound like, it was like that. He kept on. And so my neighbor was like, man, yo, something weird going on with the guy behind. He sneezed again, and I turned around, like, this part of his face, coming from his nose, across this way, turned scaly. His eye had a slit, but the slit wasn't up and down, it slit sideways. The cashier see that shit, she runs to the back. We get our stuff, we go out. He eventually, I don't know if he paid for his shit or what happened. He came on outside. He was like, yo, fellas, please don't tell anybody about this. I'm just like y'all, man. I'm just trying to live here. I'm just trying to make a living like you. And I'm like, yo, we didn't see.
You all have to understand.
Okay. I'm going to stop sharing there. Okay. That's interesting. I'm just saying. I know that's it's just a firsthand encounter. I mean, it's on the internet. Who knows? The guy seemed, I watched the original video. I thought he seemed pretty legit. Okay. He seemed pretty upset about it, but I don't know. With this day and age, Barry, where we're having all these sightings of reptilian shapeshifters on TV and stuff. I thought it was an interesting account, because he says that the guy knew that he saw him shifting and said, look, I'm just, don't say anything. I'm just here trying to make a living like everybody else. He was at like the Home Depot. Okay. So I don't know. What do you make of that? What do you think?
Well, he just reported there were multiple witnesses.
Mm-hmm.
So he can't get any of those people on the video with him, or get people, a group together to talk about this. This is what, it was enough to where the cashier ran off. And then that's so much that he don't even know if the dude paid or not, because they run off and all that, this hysteria. You can't get one other person to back up that story. I'm just saying, man, it sounds great though. It sounds like a great narrative. And yes, the brother looks stressed out. So, maybe, that's, I don't know.
Well, here's my take on this. And like, here's kind of the bigger question for me is like, how many people actually are of reptilian, background, and they are living among us like that. If they are, construction workers and, handymen and people working at restaurants and, working at, executive jobs and in government, we know about government, right? We know about the government. We know about all the politicians. Okay. But just like your school teachers, school bus drivers, and whatever, postal service workers, everybody in our everyday lives, how prevalent is this? And have they been hidden for so long? Is the technology breaking down a little bit? Was it the snake repellent? Was it the snake repellent? I'm trying to be serious about this. Could it have been the snake repellent?
I'm sorry. I put on my Captain Picard deal. Yes. I think what I keep seeing is correct. You're going to have a bunch of people walking around with snake repellent on at public events, political events, trying to see who's changing around them. I think that's what's going to happen.
I'm just trying to look. I'm trying to arm the audience. We're arming the audience with the tools they need to succeed. Okay, if you want, seriously, we've got thermal cameras and we've got snake repellent. Okay, but I mean, could it be our next door neighbors? I mean, and obviously, if they're just wanting to make a living, and like this guy said, that man said, there's not like they say, I've had people come at me. They're like, Jessica, not all reptilians are bad. And I'm like, I know, just the ones that I've had on my shows are really mean to me. Okay. So, but that's neither here nor there. Okay. Actually, one of them has been trying to refriend me on Facebook, Barry. You'll never guess.
Boy, yeah, the great vibration they have. Here's definitely want to reassociate, reconnect that link. So here's the thing. Like I said, yesterday I got into this a little bit on the reptilian thing. It's interesting. A couple people in the chat had claimed they had physically met one, and that's what I'm most interested in. Not all the time, because when I did my reptilian video, probably that's been maybe 9 years ago by now. And the responses I got, all these people were saying, "Oh, it was Astral, it was Astral, it was Astral." And then when I started looking at like the stuff that was the results of the pie chart from the CCRI Free Foundation on the reptilians, it was greatly skewed. I thought it would just be all negative. The pie chart would be like just one, and it wasn't. It's very divided. And I thought it was worth discussing yesterday. So in that way, and I can say this openly. I've been saying this on every show that you drag me into this reptilian thing. I have had experiences my whole life. I've never seen a reptilian on board a craft. I've never met, and in fact, I've not met a 9-10 foot bipedal crocodile or bipedal caiman. Hey, I'm cool. I'm cool with that, man, to be honest with you. You know what I mean? But the fact is that when looking at that graph from the Free Foundation, a large part of it was skewed. I could pull it up, but I'll maybe later. But anyway, it shows that just a large part was unknown, like if it was a negative or positive encounter. And when I asked Ray and then why, he said most people said it's because even though nothing negative happened to them, they were just terrified by the physical appearance of these beings. It was almost more than they could physically handle. So that even though nothing bad happened, even in some case, a healing may have happened or something. Still, the sight of them was just too much. So that I think that's quite realistic.
Oh yeah, Mickey says, "Thank you, Mickey. Lunch ladies could even be reptilian." Well, I do have a story of my own. You want to hear it? So I've mentioned this on a show a long time ago, I'm sure, but there was this place when my grandmother was still living. We always used to go out to eat all the time. She loved going out and getting lunch or dinner or something. And I'd meet up with her and we'd go to the spot. I'm not going to say where, but the lady who cooked there, the food was really good, by the way. It was real good country home cooking. And the woman would come out sometimes who cooked, and I don't know if she's the owner or what, but she had slits for pupils. And I remember the first time I saw it, I was like, whoo, wait a second. I was like, should we be eating here, grandmother? Because it was kind of weird, because it's like, well, is that a deformity, or like, is that a genetic mutation, or could she be reptilian? Of course, in my mind, I'm like, that's a reptilian, but I think they do walk among us, and sometimes they're cooking food for us and stuff. You know what I mean? But it could be a mutation too, right, Barry? Are you familiar with that?
Yeah, it could be that, or also it's interesting because sometimes when you get into feline genetics too, they have slit iris also. The house cat only, actually, if I'm not mistaken,
Yes.
isn't the house cat only
cat.
has a slit pupil? All of the cats have around. Yeah. So anyway, it's interesting just to we're looking at that part of it too. But I'm not saying that they don't walk around us. You got what Credo had said, and really somebody say, what made Credo such an expert? I actually had a nurse that was working here that was from South Africa. We talked about that a little bit. It's quite interesting, but when dealing with the reptilian, how he said it, not just the ones that were eating people, but the ones that were maybe the person's not necessarily reptilian, but they're being possessed by one of them from the sex chakras. And we've seen those pictures where you see the shadow of them latching onto people's sex chakras and energy field. And then that's when you start seeing the holographic projection of them over people. I think that when we start dealing with the quantum hologram and all that stuff I'm always rambling on about, I think that might be actually quite realistic. You know what I mean? When it comes to possessing people, because I've seen earthbound spirits do it too, but they're joined to different places. They are joined to the places of trauma usually that we store in our bodies, that they'll tend to go for the areas that were the places that they died. If it was a heart thing, they'll try to start messing with the heart of the client and attach there at that level, at that area, stuff like that. So anyway, sorry, I don't want to take us too far off the strictly reptilian thing, but I think that what Credo showed, if you have that picture by chance, you know what I'm talking about?
Yes. Where's it from? Because let me look it up.
It's David Ickey's biggest secret book. It was in there, and Credo showed it several times too. I've got a copy of it. I could pull out probably if you can't find it. I keep forgetting I'm not disabled now. What do we do these?
Yes. Let's see. I'm looking for it. I know what you're talking about, but I'm not sure if. Let's see. I don't see it on here, but I know what you're talking about. It looks like a reptilian, like connected astrally to a human. Correct?
Yes, I found it.
You did? Okay. Do you want to share your screen? You can share your screen. Yeah, I did want to bring this up while you're bringing that up.
I'm slow. That's all. I'm getting there.
I'm slow too. It's okay. I'll talk. Frank Lubo. Thanks, Frank. He says you talked about this on your show yesterday. It was Tila Tequila. Okay. Who did this? Yeah. They say this is all for entertainment purposes only. Billy Corgan claims he had an experience with a female, Tila, who shifted right in front of him. And I know that because Arkeem Ross told me. Okay. But he said, I think it killed the mood. And you know what they were doing? Wink, wink. They were doing something. Yeah. Brown chicken, brown cow. Okay.
I think I did it.
Okay.
Can you see that?
Hold on. Yes. There it is.
Yes, it was hard. Okay.
I see it. Thank you, Barry.
I do believe that's out of the biggest secret book. And that's Credo's deal. But, most interesting, the one on the down right there. See, they're grabbing a hold to the person's sex chakras. And I told you, I've seen oval shadow attached to a person at the sex chakra also. There's a female though, and it elongated and attached to the crown chakra. It started really what it was doing. I want to say draining the person, but what it was doing was provoking negative thoughts. And this person was getting really agitated. I remember them looking at me. I was like, man, are you all right? They were bowling. They hit what you call a turkey. It's like when you get like 3-5 strikes. And I was like, are you all right? They're like, man, the stinking thinking is just getting to me, B. And that's what it was. This thing is producing that. And it's feeding on it. So So that's that kind of situation there. So I mean, not just, and that's what I was saying yesterday, that sometimes maybe some of the reptilians even get a bad, they're like a decoy in some ways, because we have other beings that are inorganic that do that exactly thing you see down there on the right, or even more. They attach to places of trauma along the body during the traumas that you have during life, and earthbounds do it too. So just to say it's strictly a reptilian thing, I think is somewhat of a cop out in some ways. I think we have ones that are much worse than them, that do not contain bodies, and they're those that look like light beings that are also extremely dark and fallen. They don't even look like that. So anyway, I'm sorry. That's all. You want me to stop sharing that? I can stop
no,
sharing.
I love that. Yeah, here, I'll take it down. Thank you.
Hey, real quick, that one up there though, when dealing with the reptilians, up the right, there's that dinosaur. It's called like the Camposaurus or something like that had the rocks on its head like that, and they would butt heads. They say those dinosaurs, and that's supposed to be the one that's modeled off of Darth Maul. Credo Muto said Darth Maul in Star Wars: Revenge of the Sith looks just like one of them. And he's got those little pointed things on his head. And you start looking at certain tribes that would actually do head bindings and things that would represent some of those structures. So it's just interesting when looking at the different caste system of these reptilians.
Yeah, let's look at a picture of Darth Maul. Here we go. Let's see. This is what Darth Maul looks like. See, I don't even know their name. Darth Maul. He's got those little horns on his head right there. Just like that. Wow, that's fascinating. Check that out.
Yeah, that was Credo was always saying that he represents one of those classes. More of the worker class, soldier class than the royalty. The royalties, when he went up, the ones that have the wings and stuff of that with the different configuration. So
wow. Well,
like I said, he's the one that really brought. Other people were talking about reptilians. Like there were people like Barbara Martinique around 1987, 86 in that book, Bringers of the Dawn. She was talking about reptilians a little bit, and there were some others, but nobody really brought it on spot like Credo did when he hooked up with David Icke. And that's something that when you start dealing with like things like Dr. Abdul and others, they were talking about reptilians too. Or the Urugu book was talking about that, things that I came across that were Black culture, we're talking about them. But Credo really kind of threw it out there. And I mean, it really blew it up with David Icke, I think, to make us all more aware of this anyway. And think about how much momentum the reptilian deal started then. And then one day they said, oh, we got a reptilian part of the brain. That's all it was needed right there. So and we bust. But I wanted to mention one thing before I shut up is the difference that I heard, especially the things that would come in like Kemetic wise, they would talk about the Saurians, which were earth-based reptilians that were here and it went underground during the cataclysms, the end of the Dryas period and all that type of stuff, and then almost got wiped out. And they were like evolved from the Hadrosaurus, and gosh, there's another one that had a really big brain, but it was four-pedal. Anyway, point being just that they're supposed to be common ancestry, possibly, and that. So when dealing with that, though, when it comes to the Saurians, that they were different in terms of maybe they weren't all negative. You had some of them that were healers, but then you have this quote unquote draconian regime that comes, the bigger size and stuff like that, and they start interacting with the Saurians and breeding. So I don't know at what point you get the velociraptors and the different types of that nature when you start dealing with Saurians, Draconians, or are there other species, period. Which shows you that possibly the dinosaurs were truly an experiment of some type that got wiped.
It seems like that. I believe that. I believe that happened.
There was that museum, maybe you know the name of it, where they had all those images of the people's tracks walking with dinosaurs and along the same lines and in the same strata and all that. It was a whole museum that had all that stuff that was on display. It was always questionable to people, but it really put a whole thing, because I think evolution is BS, personally. That's my thing. We won't even go into that.
Tracks together here. Let's see. I was going to try to find that museum, but Oh, well. Okay. We have some interesting questions in the chat, actually. I was going to address these. Ruth's asking, do you think these celebrities who eat human flesh are reptiles? I have definitely thought of that myself. Yes, I think they could be, but I don't know. I think they're just evil, but yes, they could be. I don't know. What do you think, Barry?
I think they're people.
Think they're people?
And it's
Sick
cannibalism's always been a problem. It's much easier just to blame reptilians for that. But at the same token, I wouldn't say that person there is wrong either. You know what I mean? That's definitely a possibility. But I think we've got just some demonic humans walking around in bodysuits like you and I. That's really, it's just gruesome and horrific, to be honest, you know? And I'm afraid that the worst demons in this realm walk around like you and I, you know, even more dangerous than these shadows and than these beings that show up. Like I was talking about yesterday, you've got inorganic beings that show up in your dreamscape. You got those that are like objects that are odd, if you can sustain dream attention. And you've got others that they're more aggressive ones that show up like people you love. And they come on you and they're on you. They're yelling at you. They're screaming at you, getting you into bad situations. You're like, man, that's my old dad, my old mom. Why would you be doing this? You know, it's that, but it's those beings. So anyway, it's dangerous because, you know, like our emotions and like the voices we hear, they're invisible until they get in the phantasmagorical images of our dreams and meet us that way. That's why I hear a lot of dream practices, but when you get through all that, the ultimate feat is to be able to wash away all the phantasmagorical images to where you realize you're really standing in the middle of an electron impulse and then observing what energy generating beings are in your field of awareness, in your field of perception. That's seeing, really seeing. You know what I mean? Anyway,
yes. I'm sorry. My computer's about to die and I can't find my cord. Hold on. This is the first. Okay. Hold on. I have about 5,000 cords right here. Sorry, y'all.
I was trying to give you time to fumble around or whatever it is you're doing.
This is crazy.
You know, I understand technical difficulties. I have them every time I do a live or something like that. So I'm much sympathetic, my friend. I
found it.
I just kept gabbling for a minute, so hopefully that covered it. Anyway.
Okay. Oh my gosh. I'm like, there's literally five. I've got to do some organization after this show today, y'all. I'm so sorry. Yes. Get to fumble around a little bit. Oh, well. Sorry, Barry. Sorry
That's
about
all right.
that. I was about to lose you guys.
Rambling. Don't sweat it. It's all good.
Oh my gosh. Yes, we had a couple more questions in the chat, and let's see if I started them or not. Let's see. Oh, by the way, Audio said that Audio has watched your videos this week when you were at SETI, and was watching a lot of your videos. You've got a lot of fans in the chat today, by the way. I was noticing. And yeah,
very, 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 very kind audience is what they are. Thank you for watching them. I really appreciate that. You know, I would say, you know, again, if you maybe Audio, you've been out there. If you've not, please try to go out there, man. You know, like I said, it's really a power spot in terms of, you know, like I could sit up and you saw the video Holographic Mountain, and I had you remote view that one, Jessica, and you remote view the key of or the ore station inside that thing, also inside of Mount Adams. I mean, so stuff like that really, you know, when I saw, it's one thing I sit up here and I talk about in that video. I didn't really want to do it. I was jumping around looking like a teenager because I was tripped out. This whole thing was not what it appeared to be. It's one thing to talk about the holographic principle, and Stephen Talbert was a student of John Mack, and I could go into all that, but that don't mean nothing when you really see something like that. Sister, it pushed my perception to the edge. I don't care what holographic principles I think I know. It pushed my perception to the edge. So anyway, thank you for watching. I'll say that.
Heck yeah. That's awesome. And Midwest Night Watchers, Gerald's in the chat. What's up, Gerald? Gerald says, with the reports of reptilian shapeshifting during traffic stops in Los Angeles, New York, Vegas, and Chicago, I wonder if there's any traffic camera photos of them. Man, that's something else. So I'm sure they wouldn't be put out to the public. I don't know. I guess it's all a matter of public. I mean, I don't know. Can you get like FOIA request, right? the Freedom of Information Act, we can probably find out. That's something that Eric, by the way, it's Eric Palacios. Thank you, BD. Bigfoot Dwarf put it in there. Eric's the one with Harry Man Road who was making those videos about how he saw that Capturing Bigfoot documentary. Okay. But he's the one that gets the FOIA request on cryptids.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. The cryptid reports that national and state parks around the United States and stuff. And that would be interesting. Find out.
He's pretty cool. So he said it sucked.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
I'm not surprised, but he's pretty credible, I think. So that tells me that, the whole thing is based on crap.
Well, let's see. There's actually a video. I wish I'd thought to pull this one up. It's John McCain. Okay. Back when he was still alive, he was in I guess it was a Senate congressional hearing, and General Petraeus. Okay. I know. Look, this is for entertainment purposes only. But General Petraeus was testifying, and I remember seeing this video of John. I guess McCain kind of freaked out a little bit because he was out there talking, and General Petraeus had a medical emergency, and it looked as though when the camera went back to him, it looked as though he was shapeshifting. I don't know if anybody's seen that. I don't know. Maybe I can pull it up. Let's see if we can find it. We probably can't, but
I've seen a few videos that are like these little glitches that is obviously reptilian or whatever, and it kind of sustains the whole thing, in some ways. Like you see the ones of Michael Jackson when he had the black eyes. That was one of the first ones to come out. Just during the video, he turns, he's got these black eyes. It's like a couple of times in the videos. And this brother has since disappeared to put that out. And I said, look at him, he's a reptilian, this and that. Now, if that's true, what does it mean as we find out later that supposedly he was saving kids from that island? So what does that mean? What kind of reptilian was he? I'm just asking if that's if that's the case. Looking at
which clone was it? I'm just kidding.
Oh, no kidding. Yeah.
The rabbit hole just never stops. It just keeps getting deeper.
The amount of people that have told me that they've been visited by Prince and that he's some type of archangel, guiding angel is unreal. Over 10 people have given me that.
Well, I heard he was David Blaine. Okay, so just
Prince?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yes, that's what the fittest flat earther says. He says that that's actually David Blaine.
Come on, Jessica. I will say, some of his earlier tricks, though, where he was throwing the cards against the sheriff's cars and doing stuff like that and to be stuck inside, I thought were pretty cool. And the stuff he was doing with the Dallas Cowboys and all that, I thought that was pretty good. But I come to find that some of that was edited, I think, to look more than it was. Even some of the levitation deals were more edited. So disappointing, So anyway, but I do not think that's Prince Rogers Nelson. I will just say that right now. And I don't think Morgan Freeman is Jimi Hendrix either.
Jimi Hendrix, you don't think?
Morgan Freeman was on the electric company when it first started. That was 1970, 2 or 74 it started. And that's when that Jimmy was still alive during that time. So it doesn't the timelines. And that's awful lot of credits for Morgan Freeman to get when he was still playing the Jimi Hendrix deal.
I don't know. They do look an awful lot alike, though. They do. No matter what, they do look a lot alike. They do.
No good, Jones.
They do. I don't care what anybody thinks. They do. I actually agree on that one with the fittest flat earther. I think that's probably him. But we agree to disagree. Who knows? Maybe it's just a whole bunch of clones.
Yeah, so check it out.
They look alike.
It's just the 40th anniversary of Stand By Me, which makes me feel old, definitely. All right.
The what anniversary?
A whole new generation's going to get introduced to River Phoenix. Where's his clone? When's he going to pop back up? Just saying.
I bet he has one. We're going to go look. Well, his ghost actually haunts the Viper Room out in L.A. in Hollywood, really? I think. Yeah, because I think the Ghost Adventures went there a long time ago. I'm pretty sure. And I think I think it was Ghost Adventures. Yeah. I think they went there, and they say his ghost haunts that place. So
okay, Okay, so I don't want to get too far off subject, but real quick, there was a guy that played on that. He played on Voyagers where they had the watch and they would time travel, and then he did a show called like Showgirl or Show something, and we need a hero. His name was Eric John Sexum, and he killed himself by using, or I'm sorry, unlived himself by playing Russian roulette with one of the props. And it went off, and it killed him pretty much. But they say, or sorry, unalived him. But they say that he haunts like some of those studios out there where those films were showed. Yeah.
Really?
He actually donated body parts that saved a bunch of people's lives too. His name was Eric John Sexum, a Caucasian dude with like blue eyes. He was like supposed to be the hero guy, but he's in that show Voyagers that was really good, but it only lasted like one season. When I was still a kid, then it was probably 1982.
Interesting.
Anyway,
That's
yeah,
interesting.
just sometimes when it comes to some of those, I pick up stuff sometimes concerning the stars and their deaths. It used to unnerve me quite a bit, but I've gotten more used to it now. Like Natalie Wood, for instance, I started picking up stuff about her. And then all of a sudden, here I'm looking at that old man Robert Wagner again. After all that time, he's so dried up. He's like 90-something by that point, man. Heart to heart, dude.
Is she the one that who was on a boat and something happened to her?
Yes.
Okay.
The Miracle 34th girl.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And she was in a movie called Brainstorm. It was actually pretty good with Christopher Walken at the time of her passing.
Whoa, interesting.
Yeah. He was on that boat, too. Did you know that?
There are some anomalies, something enigmatic about all that.
Interesting. I'm just saying. I was picking a lot of stuff up, and then all of a sudden that comes up. You're like, okay, wow. Anyway, sorry. Back to the reptilians.
Well, no, speaking of a brainstorm, we got a brain worm that Revered Wolf is talking about here. A parasite introduced into the eye, leaving a black eye. This parasite consumes on its host and then takes it over. That is called the vril parasite. And I have plenty of shows on that one. Yeah, we've talked about that a good bit.
Like the Star Trek theme for both the conspiracy and also Star Trek 2. Quite similar.
Yes.
Notice that.
Well, and that's the Black Eye Club. That's something else to look into. We've talked about that too in the past, of course, as well. But yeah, interesting stuff. That's a whole other rabbit hole, and that does have to do with the reptilian. Even potentially shapeshifters. That's more of a body snatcher, so to speak, right there. So, but I don't know. Speaking of body snatchers, I tell you what, we had some. I'm not saying I had a body snatcher in our camp this week, but I was out doing some cryptid field research this weekend, and we had some weird stuff that happened, Barry.
What happened?
We had some very weird stuff that happened. It actually happened by my base camp where I was camped out, and Keith was over on my end of the camp, but we were all kind of spread out a good bit, but Keith was closer to me than anybody. I always joke around about how I used to camp by him because he'd be in a hammock. And so the Bigfoots and the critters would go get him first because he was a burrito over there in his hammock. Well, some things never change. Okay. But anyways, we had some weird stuff go down over the weekend. And I guess I'll talk about this now. I wanted to show a couple of videos too before we go today, of course, of a couple of my teammates. I'm going to have a video of Don talking about what he saw around the time that I was hearing footsteps around my vehicle. I was actually, so I have like a tent, like one that you put up at like an outdoor fair, one of those tents. I call it an awning tent, but that's not what it's called. But I have like a tent, and I'll either put my tent, a real tent out there beside it or under it or whatever. This time I just slept in my truck. I made a pallet, Barry, okay, in the back. Sometimes it's easier just to do that when it's cold. And I turned on the heat too. It was nice. But anyways, but let me tell you what happened first. So I'm out there, we're camped out. We had a great time, doing some research, checking out things, or, we went to a cemetery on Friday when I got there, and we did some hiking and, just looking for some Bigfoot sign and stuff like we always do. And there are a few of us there this time. Let's see if I'll show some pictures if you guys want to see some pictures. This is us on our Friday. That was on our Saturday hike, I think. Maybe that was our Friday. I don't know what day that was. I don't remember. Okay. But this is some of us hiking. We went up to a cemetery, Oh, this was actually a beautiful old cemetery. All the gravestones are actually just rocks stuck in the ground, Barry. An old Appalachian cemetery, and a family cemetery, as a matter of fact. And one or two of the gravestones actually had some symbols and stuff on them, which was pretty fascinating. Okay, some old symbols. We're trying to make out exactly what that said. That actually says MK on it. Okay?
That's what I kept thinking. MK.
It does say MK, and it had some symbols underneath it. And let's see. Let me see if I got any more pictures of that.
Did the others look Native American or?
No. It's just from it's from a family that has a family name. I'm not gonna give the name of the cemetery away because then everybody know where I was at. Okay, but anyways, it was just an old cemetery up in the Appalachians, up in North Georgia. There's a whole bunch of those scattered around in the mountains, up in the Blue Ridge Mountains and stuff, and all through North Georgia.
Those odd little cemeteries, huh? Those odd pet cemetery looking places, right?
Yes. It's not pets though, but all the markers are just slate sticking out of the ground.
Move the movie.
Mm-hmm.
There's no pumpkin patches around there, are there?
Like Candyman or something out there.
No, pumpkin head.
Pumpkinhead, that's right. Pumpkinhead. No, this is what it kind of looks like. That's me. I just took a picture. I'm sitting there. Those are my feet right there. That was when we got to the top of one of the mountaintops, kind of. It was like what did David call this? He called it Misty Bald, I think is the name of this place now. Because look, I forgot to upload the other picture, but I took 2 pictures of David Pardue. And one of them did not have this glare on it. And I don't know if this is sun. It may be from the camera. I think it's from the camera. I think that's just sun glare right there. But one picture had this and the other picture didn't. And I thought that was interesting. See that? It looks like a fog above his head.
Looks like he's looking at it.
It does, doesn't it? He's got that aura. That's what Pardue's got, that aura. Okay. But anyways, I thought that was interesting. Like I said, I forgot to upload the second picture. Maybe we'll upload it to social media later today or something. Y'all can see it. But anyways, so anyways, we had a fun day on Friday and Saturday, and on Friday night, the wind was blowing, but it wasn't blowing too bad. And I had my tent. I went to bed. I don't know what time we all turned in for the night, but I laid down I was in my truck, shut the doors. And I was hearing, and I knew that Keith was like down the way in his little tent. Okay. And you can hear things, it's really quiet out there, and you can hear when somebody zips their tent or unzips it, if you're listening, you can hear. And I always lay in my truck, and I've got like a 360-degree view. I've got tinted windows on my vehicle, and I can sit up, and it's pretty dark tent, and I feel like nothing can see me. I'm sure they can, but I can sit up in my truck and just kind of watch and listen at night. And so I was just laying there. I was kind of like, I was really tired, but I was hearing someone walk around my truck, and I was like, man, that's weird. Cause I didn't hear Keith unzip his tent. And, but I was hearing bipedal footsteps walking. I mean, it was just like normal walking. It wasn't like they were creeping around or anything. And I sat up and I looked, and there was nobody out there. There's nobody out there. But see, that's not uncommon for us to experience that out there, to hear footsteps and walking, and there be nobody there that we can see. Okay. And this was within I'm going to say 10 to 15 minutes of me laying down, the footsteps started. And so I didn't think a whole lot about it, went to sleep. Around 2:30 in the morning, I was like jolted awake by a huge crash. And I sat up and I looked around, and I thought that like thunder had struck and like lightning or something. I didn't know what was going on. I was in a deep sleep. I was dreaming. I was dancing around with James Rink. We were at a party. Okay. That was my dream that night. But I woke up, and I looked out the window, and my tent, what I call the awning tent, had like flown over my truck. It landed right beside Keith's tent. I mean, it's a wonder it didn't cut him in half, honestly. And so it was like upside down over by him. My table, all of my stuff out at my camp had been flipped over. Everything was all over the place. It looked like it had been ransacked out there. And obviously I did not put stakes in the ground with my tent. It was my fault. But I didn't know what was going on. I had that, you know, that moment, Barry, where you're like, oh, I really don't want to get up. Do I have to go deal with this in the middle of the night? You know, in this scary spot. But I did. Keith ended up, everybody got up pretty much. I know David got up. I heard him get up. And so Keith got out of his tent. He helped me get the tent back, and we closed it up and tucked it away. So we just all went back to bed. Everybody went back to sleep till the next morning. And the next day we're talking with Dawn, and I'm going to play this video for everybody so you can hear this interview from Dawn about what happened the next morning. Okay. All right, here we go. This is Don Tart. Y'all, I've been wanting to get Don Tart on my show for so long, and I finally interviewed him out in the field. Let's see if this will work.
In my mind, I figured it was them walking around, but now after talking to them the next day, I'm not sure what I really captured, and I'll have to review it, but there was two things on the side of the road, white in color, but like I said, I just, my assumption it was them, but now I'm not so sure it was.
So before my tent goes flying at 2:30 in the morning, and right before I fell asleep, I'd heard the footsteps, and he actually picked up what he described as two light beings. I know in the video, if y'all saw my video, it sounded like I said lightning, but it was light beings, and like two lit up humanoids walking beside the road where my tent was right there. And it wasn't, he just assumed it was us, but there was nobody out there. And he thought it was maybe Keith and I walking down the road or something. And it was definitely not us out there. So he is going to go back and analyze that data, analyze the videos that he has. He had cameras set up all around the camp. We had cameras everywhere this trip, Barry. So he's working on all that analyzing today. And we're gonna have a report. I'm gonna bring Don on the show one day soon. Okay. But it was kind of interesting, kind of weird. I don't think that those beings had anything to do with my tent flying off. I think it was a microburst of like wind, I guess. But it's also odd that it didn't scratch my truck. It could have done way more damage than it did. So
What do you think they were?
Good question. Well, he said they were white. And from the description that Don gave me, at first I thought maybe he was talking about Bigfoot. Like maybe there were like a couple of Bigfoot creatures. But see, here's the thing. I was looking out my windows at the same time that he was seeing that, and I didn't see anyone. So with my eyesight alone, I couldn't see anyone out there, but I was hearing the footsteps. Now, maybe his, night vision cameras and stuff could pick up something that I couldn't see with my eyes. Maybe they were on FLIR or whatever. We're going to have to analyze everything. He's going to check it out and see. He was watching it live on his screens. So he had like a computer screen with 4 cameras on it live around the camp. And he said that he didn't even sleep that night hardly because he was up watching the cameras all night. Like he was watching it in live time, and he thought that those two people were me and Keith, but it wasn't. So we'll find out. But so at first I thought maybe it was like Bigfoot or something, but then I thought, well, maybe pale crawlers. But I think he would have seen a difference between like 2 humans and then 2 pale crawlers. But I don't know. It could have also been some kind of ET thing as well. It could have been apparitions. I mean, it could have been anything. I did say there is that cemetery that I showed you is mere steps from where I was camped out. Okay. Yeah. Literally steps.
Cemeteries often have portals near them, around them, male and a female portal. Normally the male, like for example, the male portal may be in the middle of the cemetery, and the female may be just the female part of the portal may be off the cemetery, but in very close proximity. You know what I mean? And I think that right now, with all the energy you're putting out, you specifically concerning cryptids, concerning the paranormal, concerning strangeness, you're becoming like a battery, a magnet for it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So, and these are conscious events. I keep saying that again and again. No matter, I know people don't like it all the time, but it's true. These are conscious events. And when you start getting out in these places, you consciously start manifesting things and things start coming. And sometimes with you, I wonder, like, you're not having a poltergeisting also. I will say that to you. Would you know how to control a poltergeist if it came from your own self? Would you be able to identify it?
I've had it happen before, Barry. And I guess some PK stuff has gone on in my life. What's up? We got Lily Nova in the chat. Hey, Lily, thank you for being here. She says, Reptilian Repellent. Genius. Hey, girl, get you some snake repellent. I think that's what it is. That's what we've been discussing today. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see if it works. Thermal cameras and snake repellent. Okay. But yeah, I've had it happen before, Barry. Back when I was living in that haunted house out in right off Ponce de Leon Avenue in downtown Atlanta. Okay. And I had I woke up to that vase, the flower vase. It was made out of blown glass. It was beautiful. It had a flower in it and everything, and some water. And I thought I woke up to that thing sliding across my bedside table. And in my mind, in my dream, and like, I don't know if I was like in the astral, I don't know what was going on, but I thought that I was seeing my cat pulling it with his hand towards the edge of the table. And like up on his hind legs and holding on to the top of the table and pulling it towards him. And I screamed. I was like, Mayu, stop it. Because it kept moving. And I was like, I was trying to sleep. And when I said, Mayu, stop it, it flung into the air by itself and it levitated right in front of me. And it levitated for a minute. I mean, it was like at least 5 seconds, which seemed like an eternity. And then it crashed to the floor. I had wooden floors. I had a rug, but it landed on the wood. So it should have completely crushed and crashed and broken. But the next morning, and my cat was across the room, by the way, in his bed. So the next morning I just went back to sleep. You know, I'd had so much weird stuff happen. I didn't even think about it. I was like, yeah, it's weird. And so the next morning, the vase was sitting upright with the water on the floor, the flower on the floor, and the vase was upright, untouched, completely put together. So anyways, that happened. I do believe, I mean, that was a haunted house. So it could have been the house, but it also could have been me as well, I guess. So I don't know, Barry.
Well, do you ever consider that your time travel experience might have been a PK also? Nobody don't use that
I've
term.
not even thought of that.
Yeah, I mean, a poltergeist of a type, or also could be the result of you messing with those spirit boxes.
Oh yeah, I haven't messed with a spirit box in a long time. It's been a long time. I actually gave all my equipment away to people.
Well, there could be like time dilation, a temporal change, so it takes a minute for it to come back. It's not always in sync.
Dang it!
It's Doctor Who says timey wimey.
Yeah, there's some precautions we got to take, I guess, when you're using like ghosts, when you start dealing with the spirit realm, for sure. Time is but an illusion.
And the fact that I can't emphasize enough, the fact that people always talk about 2 Earths and this new Earth and all that, but in reality, you've got the Earth here that is actually energetic, more of an astral, and you've got different beings that drop in the field of awareness of this planet all the time. And many of them inorganic. I think most of them, and that brings us to a whole nother level when dealing with what people call the 4th dimension, the 5th dimension, but really just the other Earth that's right here, only partially invisible to us. I mean, it's interesting. And then we start getting into things like dealing with consciousness, not just the death process, but the dream process, the process of stopping our internal dialogue, not talking to ourselves. That's when we truly start becoming multidimensional and start being able to bleed other things in. You know what I mean? I think that's what we're seeing consciously. It's the shift into that happening and becoming more normal than it's ever been before, along with the upgrade of awareness, But we've got these things like people fixate on, like AI. People are so tripped out on that right now,
Oh,
it went from being robots and androids to robotics to being AI. Yeah, it's a different term now, but it's the same.
It is. Bounty Hunting Bear says, is there a way to tell if you are causing things? If you're causing things to happen psychokinetically, Barry? How can we tell the difference if it's us or like a ghost doing it?
You know, a lot of times it'll happen like if it's a poltergeist type, it can happen a lot when your emotions are erratic. If you're going through stress, you're going through trauma, you know, or if you're experiencing stored trauma, things can start manifesting in that way. And something that kind of might key you off is it'll be repetitive. Sometimes it can be very repetitive, you know what I mean? And in some cases that somebody will think they're in a haunted location and it's the ghost, almost like a phantom, doing the same thing again and again, but it's actually them projecting and poltergeisting. You know, so much of our energy and awareness exists outside of our physical body. You know, when you really start modeling like how far out people's aura goes, you know, it's 12 feet and beyond. And when you start seeing the luminous cocoon of people, you know, it's a whole nother thing going on. So to think that, you know, we have awareness that exists outside of the physical body is very real. Just like we have a microbial cloud that we live around, we leave around, we leave decay around us all the time, that bacterial thing that kind of ties into the ISIS thesis. You know what I mean? And that, so that in that way, we can be actually deadly for other organisms or other life forms that might come here. You know what I mean? We think so much about the bacteria and, like, for example, War of the Worlds, you know, that's what got them, was the microbes got them. But in reality, humans walk around with a microbial cloud around them that contains also decaying, unencoded DNA. It's very fascinating.
Even if you take a shower, I'm just kidding.
You still got dust mites on you. You take a shower.
Yeah, shower. Well, you know what? I did. I was in the woods all weekend. Okay, but I did take a shower when I got home. Okay, I promise. Okay, I've taken a shower. I can't say the same for my vest that I'm wearing. Okay, it might smell a little weird right now, but anyways, that's pretty fascinating.
In such ways, even what you call a micro burst of wind could be something, you know, that's not natural. Very interesting, especially when you get your energy field entwined with, you know, a nature spirit, a nature environment. It's very interesting. We're so much more than what we think and what we're told. You know what I mean? Not just perceptually, but also in terms of power of will and intent of will, much more than what we think. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what the big deception is. Maybe we're not everybody's food, everybody's prey, you know, and we can be much more than that. But it's, you know. We
are. I know. That's why we don't want to harp on like the reptilians eating us all the time. Okay. There's way more to life than that. Okay. So I don't know. Dawn Tart is in the chat, y'all. Dawn, I just played a video of you, Dawn. I hope you saw that. Go back and rewind about just a few minutes. And so thank you, Don. He said, hey, Barry and Jessica, the 2 stick structures on the ridge above us was the best physical evidence so far. Thank you, Don. Don is who was in that video a while ago that I played, who was watching the monitors all night of the cameras around our base camp. And Don, we did find, they found, I didn't see them, but I saw the pictures they took of some stick structures. It was almost like, I don't know if you want to call it an asterisk or something. But there was definitely some Bigfoot stick-looking structures out there where we were in the deep woods. So thank you, Dawn. You know, actually, we had some extra people that showed up too to our base camp. We had some guests that came. My good friend and teammates, Craig and Bruce, showed up. So shout out to Craig and Bruce from my ERG team. And then Melissa Adair and her husband showed up. Y'all might know her, Bigfoot Chicks, I think. I think that's her Facebook thing. And so shout out to Melissa and her husband as well for coming to see us. But yeah, I saw a bunch of pictures they took of the stick structures.
So maybe the orbs you saw them were possibly Sasquatch then?
Possibly? The orbs?
Connection? Think there was a connection between that and the pictures?
I don't know. I mean, we have been talking about the connection to Bigfoot and orbs a lot lately. So I don't know. Like, I'm still trying to, I want to know what those light beings were. Whatever was on the camera.
That's what I'm talking about. You think those might have been Sasquatch? That's what I was referring to.
Could have been. Yeah, they could have been. We don't know. It could have been anything.
But you're like a paranormal for all the weird stuff out there in the.
Yes.
If you're near a graveyard, who knows? It could be a whole bunch of things, man.
Oh, it could. That's right. Well, and like I said, I did hear it walking there's some, it sound like a person walking around my truck, in between my truck and Keith. Okay.
Hey, I got
So it
another
was like,
question.
what's your
Real quick,
question?
real quick. No. So you talked about all those cemeteries around in the Appalachians out there. So tell me, like around them, have you heard like Dogman reports around those cemeteries?
Absolutely.
A
Yeah,
lot
we
of them,
have.
really.
Well, oh, and let me play this. Actually, we sure have. And before we go today, and I want hold on before I play this, I want to thank everybody who's getting. I'm sorry, y'all, I did not see all these super stickers. I've been talking so much. Like and Claw, thank you for that super sticker. You are so sweet. I appreciate your support. LIB, Long Island Bigfoot Mike, member for 22 months. Please subscribe and get this channel up, y'all. Thank you, Mike, for being a member of the Hunt Club for 22 months. Also, Moon at Noon, thank you for the super sticker. You're so sweet. And also, Kent Baxter, thank you so much for that super sticker. I'm doing great. Thank you, Ken. I hope you're doing good too. Thank you for your support. Man, y'all are amazing.
Good people.
Yes.
Good people.
Thank y'all so much for that. Man, makes my day. Okay, let me play this video of David Pardue. Now, this is one of the interviews that I did in the field. I want to bring this to the audience today. You can find all of these interviews and stuff on my YouTube channel. I'm making short videos today and posting them on YouTube and my social media. But David was telling me an interesting report that he took out of the Appalachians, well, out of like North Carolina where he lives. He lives near Uwharrie. Okay, Uwharrie is where I went on that expedition a couple months ago. And we had the self-illuminating eye glow. And he was telling me about, I think he said 3 Dogman reports he had taken, which are very unusual for this area. And but let me let you hear what he has to say.
It was around 11:30 at night, and they had a lantern out there, the post light, decorative post light. It's about 6 foot off the ground. And she said this hairy, and she didn't call it Bigfoot. She didn't know what it was, but it was walking like a Bigfoot, structured like a Bigfoot. But she said it turned, looked dead at her through the front door, and she said it had a face like a German Shepherd, and she could only see it from the chest up, but she knew it was walking on. It was bipedal, walking on 2 legs.
That was just one of the accounts that he told us. It's actually on the video that I did on Saturday night with my team out in the field. There's actually another one of 2 dogmen rummaging through a garbage can behind a business. I believe it was behind a restaurant that he took. And I find that interesting. The woman did not say anything about a dogman. She said it looked like a Bigfoot, but it had a German Shepherd head. So
that's fascinating. You know why I find that particularly fascinating?
Why is that?
A couple of years ago, I'd had a regression, and it was with a client, and this individual had described, once we got through the screen memory, and the screen memory is seeing like a window with these doctors, and that was a screen memory. But really what it was these beings from technically other dimensions and galaxies. But one of them, they described as being a dogman type of thing, similar to like almost having a uniform on, like a little bit different than an Anubis type of uniform, but as opposed to being like Anubis, which like a jackal or something like that, they decisively said that this thing was about, it was about 8 feet tall, and they stood close to that, and that it was, it looked like a German Shepherd. They kept saying that. It looked like a German Shepherd, especially when they, they could prick their ears up a little, then like kind of halfway. They kept saying when they kind of have it almost up, but not all the way up, like when they're alarmed. But they kept describing that decisively like that. So when I find the dogmen described as German Shepherds, it always catches my attention for that reason alone. Sorry, that was way long-winded.
Oh, yeah.
It is what it is.
No, I love that. And G Cool 420, what's up? Thank you for being here. The dogman in the graveyard, the dogmen in the graveyards is similar to how certain cultures believe them to be guardians of the dead. Yeah, guardians of the sacred places and all the sacred land. That's why they're often seen beside graveyards. They're seen guarding them, actually.
Or digging, like the one you did. Remember the digger?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I actually just talked to Bryce the other day. Bryce Edwards. He's out of Southern Illinois, and hopefully he's going to be coming back on the show soon. I think he has a documentary coming out about some of his encounters, but he was describing to the audience that night he was on our show about his family's land. It's been in his family for generations. I mean, hundreds of years in Southern Illinois. He said that he saw what looked like he thought it was a Bigfoot, like digging in the side of the ground, like just digging, like frantically digging. And he couldn't figure out what it was digging for. And I showed him the video. I showed him some of the pictures and the video of that grave digging Dogman out of Ohio. And he said it was exactly like that. And so now he believes that was probably a Dogman that was on his property out there. And so what on earth are they digging for, Barry? We got to figure out what they're digging for.
You know, that wouldn't be a bad target either, actually.
Yeah. Right.
Wow. You know, something else that I think is worth mentioning. I know we're coming to it in quick, but you know, towards the end of that last show we did together with MK, you know, he mentioned that they're going to be producing a movie that consists of all that good footage from that East Texas, Paris, Texas habitation. I think that's really cool. Now that's one I'll definitely be getting as soon as it comes out. You know what I mean? So he said there was more than what he had even showed on his channel. He showed some great clips of that stuff, you know, and I know there's a certain point where they got hoaxed, but all the stuff before that, I'm really wanting to see that. And he described some of the different types. You know, we're aware of like, I think more types than what he generally goes into, but I found it interesting when he said that there were the ones out there that the ladies swore they could put on clothes and walk around with us. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then there was others, and there was Tall Paul that he described. And I didn't know. I thought Tall Paul was from that area. He said he's from the mountains back there. And I think he was definitely the mountain giant category. And why those younger Sasquatch, they ran away from Tall Paul, didn't they? It kind of says something. I find that all fascinating. So anyway, sorry, I don't mean to go back into that, but I thought about that for a long time after we got done with that show. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Man, that was a lot of fun having MK on the show the other day and getting just you having those questions for him. I think that lit him up at the end of the show. He was so happy. I think that we could have stayed there and talked to MK for another couple of hours at least. So we'll do that again, Barry. Okay, let's do it again.
Yeah, I didn't have much to say. I was just listening. You know, it's nice you were guiding the ship, and I was just hanging out, checking it out. It was great. So thank you for that. I really enjoyed it.
Of course. I wanted to make one more. Let's see. Where's one more picture? I wanted everybody to see this. This was my walking stick. I've uploaded this picture because that is a walking stick down there with the turquoise rope on it. That is made by Gary Spikes Sr., y'all. And this is for Gary Spikes. Gary, thank you so much for my walking stick. It is amazing. I love that walking stick. I take it everywhere I go. And I got another picture. That's for Gary. Okay. I have not given him the proper accolades for that walking stick, y'all. And I remember when he came on the show a while back, we talked about him making those. And I think he does sell them. Okay. If you guys want a good walking stick, hit him up. And it even has a little Bigfoot mark on the bottom of it. It's amazing. Okay, so thank you, Gary Spike Sr. I appreciate you. And yeah, I don't know. Barry, this has been a really fun show today. And I know we've come to the end of the show. So do you have any final thoughts or anything about Shapeshifter at the Home Depot?
No, I think it's an interesting story. You know what I mean? But like I said, jokes aside, what kind is a joke? But how many people are going to be wearing snake repellent now when they're around politicians? You know what I mean? We might start seeing interesting things. If so, maybe we'll see even more morphing and weird stuff on camera since everybody walks around with one of these things now. You know? And I can't remember what is it they're called now. What are we on? Generation Beta? Isn't that right? I think so. Generation Beta is like 2025 on. So what's going to happen? What are they going to see by the time they get our age? It should be fascinating, right?
Right. Yeah, they'll be all among us. And I mean, I think it's among us now, but it's like a slow trickle out of like, maybe it's the frequencies, you know, as soon as the bells come back, we're going to know who's who. Okay. Just saying, maybe, I don't know. Until then, get your thermal cameras, get your snake repellent, everyone, and see who starts coughing around you the most. It's like when you burn sage and like people start coughing, you're like get this out of here. I hate sage. It's working, right? Get out of my house.
I can take sage, but you know what dries my black ass off? Patchouli. That's like kryptonite. Oh my God, patchouli. No, please.
Yeah, me too. I'm not a fan of that either. Oh my gosh. Barry, where can everybody find you?
I'm on YouTube under Barry Littleton. Do a lot of work there. Patreon Barry Littleton, Facebook Barry Littleton, and I can be reached at barrylittleton13@gmail.com for sessions. I do hypnosis, readings, negative identity dissolvement. I actually get a lot better with responding to emails. I'm quite proud of that. So, and I've got them all to spam. This is bad now. So anyway, so that's how you can reach me. Please come over to YouTube and check me out.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Barry, for being here. It's always fun having you here.
Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. It's always fun. Thank you to the audience too. A lot of them came over to my live, so thank you all. I'm much appreciative.
Yeah, y'all go over to Barry's channel. Check him out every Sunday. He does a live, and so y'all go check that out. He had a great one yesterday, Barry. I got at least the middle of it to the end because I just got home from my expedition, and I was glad I got to catch that. So,
well, thanks for coming. I always appreciate you being there. I'm mumbling along, all right, getting there.
It's always fun. It is. All right. Well, y'all go get your thermals, go get your snake repellent, and meet me back here on Wednesday. I'll be back on a glitch in the matrix. And actually tomorrow, I think it's tomorrow morning around 11 Eastern, I'm going to be on Esoteric Atlanta tomorrow. So y'all come see me there. And I've got a full week. My week is completely jam-packed full of shows all week, y'all. Every day I've got a show. All right. So come back and see me. Steve Wolf, thank you for that. I saw you. I will check my PayPal. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. And thank you again to everybody who gave super stickers today. And to all my Hunt Club members, all my Patreon members, everybody that's here, all my moderators. Y'all are the best. Please stay safe out there, y'all. And yeah, stay tuned. I'm going to be putting up some more short videos from my interviews I did out with my team this weekend. And until then, I will see you guys on Wednesday. All right, Barry, you stay safe yourself. Okay. We'll see you back. Bye, y'all.